What's that? Alexander, what are you doing? You look so weird. Great question. I'm holding my...
That's a new thing.
Orb, my scepter, and you can't see it, but my crown as well. What do you think of that for an opening? That's right. Today, we're going to be talking about the Regalia of Might.
So,
let's get started. So, welcome back. The first mention in the D&D world universe that we could find, at least, is of the Regalia of Might, is in our good friend Eldritch Wizardry, which we have referenced several times.
It's one of my favorite books.
Throughout this channel.
A lot of cool history in there.
Yeah, some cool stuff. Some of the bigger magical items that you probably recognize, like the Hand of Vecna and things like that, which we've talked about before.
Things that have carried through till today.
Yeah, you can find in this book.
Published in 1976, by the way.
Which he just took a few moments to Google to look up just to make sure.
I knew it.
No, you didn't.
I just didn't know if I had the 1976 or the 1978 edition. So,
anyway. On page 49, it says, the crowns, orbs, and scepters. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this. There are several sets of the crown, orb, and scepter, one for each alignment. They are scattered across the world and well hidden. Each item is only useful to one who is of the same alignment as the item. Others take 2 to 24 points of damage when touching it, or use an effect from Table 3. Each item has 2 powers from Table 1 and Table 2, and then basically all the powers of the item in this are just taken from the various tables. So they're going to be different each time. You have to roll them once you find them, or beforehand.
Well, you're the DM.
Yeah.
You would
figure out what
give
it
the
is.
powers to your crown or
Exactly.
scepter before things happen, but it'd be a random roll.
Yeah.
Or you could assign it if you wanted to.
And to be honest, that's basically it. The last really important thing it says, the crowns of the various alignments look very similar, as do the orbs and scepters. There you go. Carries forward to our good friend, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition Dungeon Master's Guide.
And we are going to look, we'll just read one of these, probably the first one that we can find, which will probably be the Crown of Might. The Crown of Might. This is from a D&D. There's been some changes from original D&D to Advanced.
Yeah.
Crown of Might. According to tradition, great items of regalia were constructed for special servants of the deities of each alignment when the gods were contending amongst themselves. Who amongst them first conceived the idea is known. The champion of each ethic alignment, evil, good, neutrality, was given a crown, an orb, and a scepter. These items have been scattered and lost over the centuries of struggle since they first appeared. These 3 complete sets bestow great powers, but even mere possession of a crown of might gives a character of the same ethos great benefits. If a character of another alignment touches such an item, he or she takes 5 to 30 points of damage. I think that's a little bit more than what was...
Slight increase.
Takes 5 to 30 hit points of damage and must save versus magic or be instantly killed.
Woo! So they really dialed it up a little bit.
They did. The alignment of the crown is determined as follows. It can be evil, good, or neutral. And then, of course, and it's the same thing. You roll a die to figure out what powers are inherent in your particular world's crown of might by, or evil, good, or neutral crown of might by going off the table and writing those things in.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a change from the original Eldritch Wizardry supplement to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Now, we have not gone and researched later editions. We have not gone into 2nd edition, 3.5, or 4 or 5.
The little that I do know while we were reading about this is that storyline of the gods creating these to be used for their champions or whatever, I think it's expanded a little bit in the later editions. As with most of the later edition stuff, they start to kind of build the Dungeons & Dragons world out more.
More detail.
So they put more detail into the backstory, but aside from that, I don't really know that much. So comment down below.
Yeah, let us know what the differences are when you get to, by the time you get to 5th edition, what do the Crown, Orb, and Scepter of Might actually do? What are their inherent powers?
Yeah.
Is it far beyond this, or is it something that maybe it's a little bit less? I don't know.
Or are they not even there? I don't know. We probably should have looked that up before we made the video, but you know what? This is a go both ways.
Yeah, we're hoping to hear from you guys.
But
the interesting thing to us.
Yeah, the interesting thing to us We both like the past. We like history. I have a job that involves history. He had a job, because he's a lazy bum now, a job that involved history. We both wanted to just kind of do some research into where actually the idea of a crown, scepter, and orb originally came from, because we kind of take them for granted as, you know, this is something that royalty uses and carries around, and the king is always sitting there with his holding them. But why? Where does it come from? Where's this idea?
Well, we did some research, and the crown, or there's a crown, an orb, and a scepter that is still used in the coronation of British monarchs.
Yes.
And they actually hold and wear these things now, but
I think only during their coronation.
Yeah, only during the coronation. Then it's put back in the crown jewel with the, you know, where the crown jewels are stored. Mm-hmm. But they are not the British monarchy is not the first to have used these items.
They are not. We'll start with the orb. The earliest, the idea of an orb has been around for a very, very long time. From what we could find, it begins actually with Constantine I, who is one of the most famous Roman emperors, one of the most influential Roman emperors, first Christian Roman emperor, because he had a vision before a battle in the year 312. The battle of, starts with an M and then it says something.
Is it Malden Bridge?
Maybe? That might be what it was.
I was reading it just last night. I can't remember,
Yeah, so
but we will put it down.
Yeah, vision before battle in 312 where he saw a cross up above the sun. And this is kind of where, from what we could find, the idea of having a cross or some kind of religious iconography on top of a sphere originally stems from. Because there are coins that are printed 3 to 4 years later, either 315...
I think 315, 316 AD.
Yeah, 315, 316, with an image of Constantine kind of sitting there looking all kingly and ornate, but there is an orb over his left shoulder, I think, which is, again, just a sphere that has a cross coming off of the top of it. And that seems to be the inspiration. It's this vision he had, and then it starts being used in this iconography.
However, at the same time, I hate to be Eurocentric on this because this orb may have originated in India and made its way to the Roman Empire. We don't know. Let us know.
Some of the other things we're going to talk about did originate in places that were not Europe and were brought over at different times. Yes. So
that's the orb.
That's the orb. Pretty cool. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, the scepter is you can go back and go down a million rabbit holes
pretty much
on the
all
origin
of human
of
history
the scepter.
When there have been royal people.
People who were
scepters.
just a slight step up from, you know, there was a staff that was considered a symbol of authority.
The holy stick of power that they held that no one else got to hold.
There are images in Egypt of people using staves. There are people. There are a lot of folks. A lot of images show folks carrying them in Asia. So in Japan,
and
China. Southeast Asia, so this staff, to try and find the origin of a staff as a symbol of authority would be very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, so that's, you know, huge amounts of history on that one. But the one that I really thought was pretty interesting was the crown.
Yes.
As well.
To me, that was really fascinating.
Yeah, and we got to look at a lot of cool pictures of old crowns that are still in
still
museums.
Around.
Yeah, that maybe aren't used or the royal families are gone, but there's still artifacts in some museum somewhere.
Yeah.
From what we found, the crown originates in what is now India.
I would say that I think it was the diadem that originated in India, because the earliest example we found of an actual crown came from Korea.
That's true.
And the Silla culture in Korea.
Fun fact that I did pick up from this, there are only 2 royal families that still use their royal regalia in their coronation ceremonies. One is, even though there are a lot of royal families still throughout the world, one is in England, the UK, and the other is in Tonga. The Tongan royal family still uses their royal regalia in part of the coronation ceremony.
Physically put it on, hold the stuff.
Their religious groups do something, and then they move on.
Yeah. So, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So not a lot to, this is not an eye-opener really, but we just thought this was fun information that we wanted to pass on to you guys.
And we have a YouTube channel, so we get to talk about it.
So we love this kind of stuff. But we thought that just a little insight into the background of the crown, orb, and scepter might gave us some inspiration on how we can work these things into our campaign.
Sure.
I'm going to be making some changes based on the history that we found, or not changes necessarily, but adding some things based on the history that we found. We thought you might want to do a little more research yourselves and possibly integrate a different take on the crown, orb, and scepter concept into your campaign.
If you live in a country that had a royal family at one point, ours it really didn't, for the most part. No. Go to a museum and see if you can find one, and take a look.
Or if we are wrong on any of this, and you have information that is pertinent to this subject, let us know.
Let us know, because we're not experts on this stuff at all. We just thought it was kind of cool.
We're here to learn, just like anybody else. We get a lot of information from you guys that sets us right sometimes. We love to hear it. We have no problem being told, no, you're wrong. Here's what it actually is. So get in touch with us. Let us know.
All right.
So that's all we've got right now.
Yeah.
Let us know about your thoughts on the crown, orb, and scepter of might, scepters of might.
How you've used them in your campaign.
Just about the crown, the history of crowns, orbs, and scepters.
Yeah.
If you know anything about it, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm Jim.
I'm Alex.
Keep your sword on free.
Bye.